Make sure we're up and running, and we are. Hello, Facebook fam. Welcome to episode 2 of Don't Boo, Vote. I'm your host, Jordan Lee, and I am a member of the Forsyth County Democratic Party Communications Committee. I am going to spend a couple minutes here. Go ahead and introduce myself. We had a viewer last time say that she didn't know who the heck I was and would like a little bit of an introduction. So in response to that comment, let me quickly explain who I am and why I'm doing this Facebook Live show. I am an educator and I'm a lawyer. And in 2016, I took democracy for granted. I was a new associate at a law firm in Texas, and although I voted for Mrs. Clinton, I didn't have time to volunteer. I made 0 phone calls. I knocked on no doors. And I watched, like many of you, mouth agape as the returns were published on November 8th and November 9th of 2016 in horror. And after the chaos of that night settled, it was clear that it was folks who looked like me, white and male, and benefited from the privilege of being white and male, who invested the most in Donald Trump. They spent decades attacking Hillary Clinton. They spent years creating sexist lies and conspiracy theories about her, and they spent months falsely promoting Trump as some sort of populist. And while they were doing that, I sat quietly on the sidelines. And on that day, I realized that I had let down my sisters, my friends of color, my mother, and everyone else who would ultimately be targeted by this current administration. So I swore to never be silent again and that I would start putting in the work. A few months ago, I read a book by David Plouffe called A Citizen's Guide to Defeating Donald Trump, which I would recommend everybody pick up. David Plouffe, of course, was Barack Obama's campaign manager in 2008 and 2012. And one thing he emphasizes in his book is the importance of citizen volunteers. Regular folks producing positive democratic content on Facebook and social media that will not only instruct folks, but will excite them about our Democratic candidates. So I started making some Facebook Live videos on how to register to vote and how to sign up to volunteer. The videos made a couple rounds, and the party asked me to go ahead and do a similar series of videos for them. So here I am. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about our guest today. Our guest is Kerry Peay, who's the president of the Progressive Caucus. He is a precinct chair. He's an activist and leads the Faith, Values, and Policy Group. And I have got so many questions for him today, and I'm going to bring him on now. Hey, Kerry, how are you?
How's it going?
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's actually a pretty lovely day out, and I'm going to tell the audience now that we are going to try our darndest to keep this thing under 20 minutes, but I don't know how, because you are a font of wisdom and excitement. I have spent the last hour, I was just going to do a little check-in with you for 2 minutes and then call you back. And I wound up just listening in reverence for an hour to the things you had to say. So let's try. I'm going to try my best to keep this thing short. But
yeah, we can do a few of them.
So let me go ahead and just start with this. Tell me about the project called Protect Our Communities. Start from the bottom. What is it? How are you involved with it?
The Protecting Our Communities program is a program where we're trying to encompass ways that people can understand the importance of wearing masks and protecting ourselves through this Trump endemic. And the reason I call it the Trump endemic is because most countries have a pandemic that they're going through, but it's dealt with where the leadership, and especially the female leaders of other countries, have done much better jobs. But the Trump endemic adds incompetence and also the lack of concern for people, which makes ours far worse than any normal pandemic. I'll be real quick, but I started out just kind of being fixated on masks when it first came out, and I ended up buying a lot of masks and just giving them away to people, driving them around. And then I kind of got this idea that, it was more than just some of my family and friends that weren't wearing masks. So I ended up, actually just buying a lot of masks myself and sanitizer. I was going to do something for my precinct. I was doing some things at churches. And I talked to Kevin, and he was like, well, I'll help you expand the program, but the basic purpose is.
And you're talking about Kevin Farmer, the chair of the Forsyth County Democratic Party. For those who don't know, he's a wonderful guy and somebody to get to know. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm speeding through this, but so what we want to do is to provide masks for those that don't have them. My main focus initially, which a lot of it still is those folks that are most vulnerable. There's a lot of different masks that you can wear, cloth masks, but people that are in high-risk situations, frontline workers, they may need better masks. So we have filters that go inside masks, but it's kind of an educational program, but it's also encompassed with voting information, letting people know how to vote by mail if they need to. I know there's a lot of issues, but even if people don't feel comfortable with voting by mail, we can provide them with information and masks so they can have the ultimate protection when they do go stand at the polls. So what we're going to do is go around to different precincts and communities all over the county, and we're going to set up tables. We're going to give out information. We're also doing a delivery service. There's a lot of folks that will not be able to get to where we are or don't want to come out of their homes right now. But if they contact the party, or you can contact us at fcprogress@yahoo.com, we will deliver masks, we will deliver candidate info, we will drop it off on your door, and everybody has their hands cleaned. I use UV wands to sterilize beforehand anything to anybody. I make sure it's sanitized.
All right, so that was FC Progress?
Yes, F is in Frank, FC, Forsyth County, Progress at yahoo.com.
All right, and I will post that. In the comments here after the show. But fcprogress at yahoo.com is the contact information for this, right?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So the other thing we are looking for, we've got a lot of people that are interested in volunteering. There's a lot of ways that you can help. We've had people that are offered to deliver packets of info because we're also going to be promoting candidates. So any candidates that are interested in participating, we actually have PSAs that are going to be done. Whit Davis has done one. Amber Baker, who's running for the 72nd House 72. I'm trying to get that right. She just did one that we're going to post. Kathy Manning's campaign is also going to come aboard as a sponsor. They're going to promote it because the goal is to show the difference, a contrast in our two parties. The Republicans are not going to do anything to help people through the virus other than open up, let's open up.
Yep.
We have to protect ourselves and make the community and make people comfortable first.
Yep.
If we're not able to do that, the economy is not going to be successful. But the first thing we have to do is have value is people's lives. The theme of the program is to love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yes.
We already know that between 40 to 50% of the people that have COVID will have no symptoms. They won't be sick. Those are folks that can spread it to other people, and we should all have concern for others. And I think that's something that starts with leadership, which, initially Trump doesn't want to wear any masks. It became a political issue instead of us just caring about our neighbors and caring about other people. But it leads us to see that we need new leadership. The party needs to be able to prove that there's a true difference, and that's really the goal, is to show our candidates and their concern for lives, their concern for their communities, them wanting people to be safe, wanting people to be healthy so we can have a thriving economy, versus the other party who they're not going to do anything. And to be perfectly honest, being an African American in the black community, being that it's hit ours so hard, Trump and the Republicans will use this as a voter suppression tool.
Yes.
Well, if it's affecting the minority communities, then that'll be less people. They don't vote for us anyway. Latino community, the African American communities are hit really hard. So those are the areas that we really want to try to target. But there's a lot of ways that people can help and volunteer. We're going to do this all throughout the next 6 months and even beyond, because the program is not just to get people to vote for us at the polls. This is something that, as a party, to me, it's a pro-life issue that should carry on, if needed, long past the election, because we need to push for mandatory massive testing, mandatory masking, and programs that would have saved the country trillions of dollars. If we had provided the high quality N95 masks for everybody in the country, and testing and screenings for everybody in the country, we would have saved trillions of dollars. But what we did was we let the virus run away, pretended it wasn't here. Then we had to shut down the country, give away trillions of dollars. It would have cost a fraction of that to have a better program that protected anybody. We don't have a national strategy, and I just think that I'll cut it short here, but the push for a national strategy is something that I think our party has to do and has to show, because I think that that's what people are looking for right now is leadership. And I just think it's in the party, it's something we need to show at this moment.
And let me add, this is my thing is I'm trying to arm citizen and volunteers with the information that they need. Go to Joe Biden's page and go to Joe's Vision as a hyperlink, and he has an entire page on a federal national strategy on combating COVID-19 and what he will start doing on day one. Now, the problem is many of my progressive friends who mean well, they're posting all this stuff about Trump and masks, but they're not posting those links about how the Democratic candidate has a solution, and that Joe Biden has a solution, and that there is a federal response that can be done. Let's talk about voter suppression real quick, because it's a big concern of mine. And I want to talk about mail-in voting. We're lucky here in North Carolina because everybody can vote by mail if they want. And I really want to recommend that people request an absentee ballot. We have all sorts of resources to help you do that on our Forsyth Democratic Party page. And if you get a mail-in ballot and you decide that you feel safe and you can go to the polls, you can tear up that mail-in ballot and go to the polls. You are not committed to doing it that way. But go ahead and get an absentee ballot now in the event that there's a flare-up and it's not safe to go to the polls. So that's my PSA. But Kerry, I got a question for you that I'm concerned about. Mm-hmm. And that concern is for especially younger populations who feel like their vote doesn't matter or that their vote isn't going to be counted. How do we help restore faith in this process for those who would benefit from it? I think there's a lot of reliably Democratic voters who might throw up their hands and say, what's the point anyway? Convince me and convince them that their vote is important. Talk to me about that.
I think that what we need to do is recognize that there's only one way that you're going to make changes. And I referenced two things to make this point. We all remember Occupy Wall Street, right?
Yep.
Remember Occupy, and you remember the Tea Party. Only one of those groups ever got their goals accomplished. The Tea Party understood that you can protest, you can do a lot of things, but if you want to make changes, you have to get inside the political system. The Occupy Wall Street had the country on pins and needles for months. They had the attention of the country, they had Wall Street, they had everybody. But they always prided themselves on not having leadership and not wanting to be involved in any parties. They never accomplished anything. All the lofty goals where the Tea Party, not only did they take over the Republican Party, they had a Tea Party caucus in the Republican Party, and the Republican Party started running its Tea Party candidates.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, we can do that as progressive folks and people that want to see changes done, is force those changes in the party. for example, one of the things that I think we have to really push on that excites young people is talking about our environment, and I call it planetary salvation. That this is their future. I tell my children all the time. I said, I might be dead when the planet's uninhabitable, but you guys may not be. And if we don't push our leaders on both sides to look at ways that are going to save the planet for future generations, that's one thing. But we always we can't get dejected and not want to go out there and push, because there's going to be folks that are going to push for policies that we oppose. They're not going to give up. So it's a situation where we just have to keep fighting and pushing until we're able to see the change that we want. And not voting is not going to be a way to make that happen. We're going to have to vote. We're going to have to get activated. We're going to have to keep pushing to see the change that we want to see.
On that note, I think that's a great segue into this question. You're a precinct chair. What can, and I always recommend when people are like, how can I help? I always start with, we got people commenting here saying that was a great point about the Tea Party versus the Occupy Wall Street. Wow. Yeah, you're getting through to people already, Terry. Look at that. What can a precinct chair do to make sure that all their Democratic voters in their neighborhood are getting out there to vote? Give precinct chairs around the party some ideas about some of the ways that you've been really active in that smaller subset of the community. By the way, I was going to say, when I recommend people get involved, I always want them to start off at their precinct level. Start off at the smallest level, because that's where you're hanging flyers and that's where they need help. So I'm turning it over to you.
Well, now it's a little bit challenging because a lot of things we have to do no contact, and that's really, I'm going to kind of go back to the program in terms of
talk about the program more,
because that's one of the things. Matter of fact, the next one is going to be for my precinct 122, which is going to be at the Heaven's Gate Church, Heaven View Church, and I'll have the info out on that one. That's going to be Monday evening on the 20th. But it's not just really going to be about the table setups, because we're going to work with all the precincts. So any precinct leader, just contact myself, Kevin, or any of the participating auxiliaries. The Young Dems are participating, the Progressive Caucus, the LGBT Caucus, the African American Caucus. We're all participating in helping push the program, but we're going to go to precinct to precinct. So one of the things that I've always liked to try to do is to invite precincts, people in a precinct, to some kind of event, to something other than we used to have meetings where we'd sit at the firehouse. Who wants to go to a meeting every couple months and sit in a firehouse?
Yeah.
But now that we're able to use this program to go into the precinct, because it's an ongoing program. Even though we're going to have our setup day on that particular day where people can come by, they can pick up masks, they can pick up sanitizer, they can pick up information. Anytime, we will deliver it to people in our precinct. So I've got precinct captains that are going to do their information. And we're just going to keep our door open so that people can contact us if they need information or they need a mask, but we'll deliver it at any time. And I think just kind of getting out in ways that are a little bit different than before, where everybody's not going to be able to go knock on doors now. That's going to change a little bit. We'll have to do a few more things by mail, phone contacts. But I think having a vision for folks and having something that we can actually contact them about, other than, vote for the Democrats. We need to tell them why. But I think as a party, if we can all work together, for example, I'm going to be working on other folks' precincts. Then other folks that are helping me with my precincts, we're going to kind of go around as a team. So if you have a precinct, we have folks that will make phone calls to people in your precinct for you, that will deliver information for you. So it's kind of a team effort, because one of the things that we want to be able to do is show what we're doing as a party. So it's kind of recognized as a brand. Oh, the Democrats, they're doing the Protect program where they're giving out masks, and then the same voters can look over at the Republicans. Well, what's the Republicans' opposing plan to that? the same as their health care plan. There is none.
There is none. Yeah.
You know, and let me just say this on healthcare real quick.
Hey, bring it. Bring it.
A thing that we have to miss, which number one is we have to reclaim our values and show that we are the true party of life. Healthcare is a pro-life issue. They want to cut Medicare, they want to get rid of Obamacare, but they want to put us on their plan, which is called Don't Care. They've had the same, but literally, they've had the same healthcare plan for 50 years. It's the same thing. It's Don't Care. It's whoever has healthcare, good for you. Whoever doesn't have it, you're screwed. So I think that the healthcare fight can no longer keep being just between Democrats. Until Republicans put up with a plan, we should never discuss healthcare with them until their plan is their plan versus our plan. And that's one mistake I think we're making right now as a party. Is right now the healthcare debate is Democrat versus Democrat, and the Republicans are just sitting there like, well, we'll let them fight it out. We'll just stick with our plan, don't care, and
Yep.
you know, it's worked.
Kerry, I cannot thank you so much for the work that you've done for 12 years here in Winston-Salem. And I've got for the Democratic Party. Do you guys have do you have a Facebook page for protecting our communities or a web page up yet, or are we just going to use the email address for now?
Yeah, just for now, because they can contact us on the our Progressive Party page. And then any of the auxiliaries. So if anybody has any questions, they can contact the party directly. But we can get information out to people if you want to volunteer. Like I said, right now we've got a lot of people. We need people that can help make masks, because I'm envisioning we're going to need about 10,000, and we're at a couple of thousand now. So anybody wants, if you can make masks, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do anything that has to be in contact with folks. We can drop off materials. We've got people that are, willing to sew and make masks. We have other people that are willing to distribute them. But it's also about just giving people information and knowledge so that going forward, we're able to kind of deal with this virus and really just hopefully we can save people's lives and help people understand that going forward, we have to kind of come together as a community. And as a party, our goal is to bring the community together.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. You've got a volunteer in me. You've got my phone number now. I want to be involved in what you're doing in protecting your community. What a great program. And guys, I'll be back next week, Saturday or Sunday. I haven't gotten my guest locked down, but thank you for spending 20 minutes with me and Kerry Peay, and we'll be back at you live next week. Thank you, Kerry.
Thanks, Jay.
Take it easy.
You too. Everybody, take care. Bye-bye.